Three topics will be explained in this presentation: simile, metaphor, and synecdoche, along with allegory, which is an extended metaphor. The first slide will cover all the page numbers which in the book that has been allotted for this semester, where you can find related information regarding the topics. The second slide provides an outline of all the material that will be explained later on in this presentation: difficult words, some examples from the Quran and explanation of these examples. Okay, so wherever in the presentation you find an icon for a speaker, please click on the icon and information will be narrated to you. We all know what a simile is, but just for a review, a simile is when in a statement you compare two things, compare and contrast them, and both of these things are present there, and in English they are introduced by like or as. As is used when comparing or contrasting animate things, that is human beings, their characteristics or something of the like, and like is used when you are trying to compare inanimate objects. Okay, and in the examples below, all the similes, their indications have been highlighted in red so you can easily recognize them. So in this particular ayah, the cycle of the moon has been described, or the phases of the moon have been described, and you can see clearly that by the end of the cycle the moon appears to be like a sickle. Okay, so it has been compared to a lower part of a very old or dried date stalk because it appears to be like a sickle. Okay, so this is a simile, as both of these things are present in the sentence and they have been compared by the use of ka or like, which is an indication for simile. First, the first image is of a sickle. This is what a dried date palm looks like. Okay. The second image, in which you can see different flowers arranged on a stalk, it represents different floral arrangements. Okay. If you go for the fifth arrangement, that is a raceme. This is the arrangement that is present on a date palm. Okay. For the previous ayah, if you go through the explanations, these two words would come again and again in the explanations. So I have explained them for you. This is a very simple example, and you can see like or ka'anna has been used to compare and contrast two inanimate objects like al yakut wal marjan. Okay, that's why in translation you can see like appear. Again, this is a very simple ayah, and a very simple comparison has been made and the indications are clear, so I hope you can understand it clearly. I will not be explaining this in detail. A metaphor is a figure of speech in which a word or phrase, literally denoting one kind of object or idea, is used in place of another to suggest a likeness or analogy between them. For example, drowning in money. In this particular ayah, you can see that wind has been given the quality of akim, which means infertile or barren. Okay, in this particular ayah, it is referring to the wind being fruitless, or it doesn't have anything good in it. But still, the words like or as do not appear, and it has been given directly given this quality, so it is a metaphor. This particular ayah refers to the cycle of the day and the night. They come one after the other. But if you look at the translation or the ayah, you see that the day is stripped from them. Okay, or they are stripped of the day and they are plunged into darkness and night overtakes them. Okay, this is what the ayah entails. So the act of stripping is not possible. So the word salakha here, it stands for the metaphor. Okay. So this particular ayah is very simple ayah, and you can clearly see that the word bakat or baka, it refers to the act of raining. Okay, so when heaven and earth are not shedding a tear over them, then it means it doesn't rain. Okay, it's not raining. So for this particular ayah, look at the word nazaha. Nazaha here means to sow enmity, but enmity cannot be sown. Okay, it's not something that can be planted. Okay, so here metaphor has been used. So the next two slides are a test. You can try to understand them yourself and take help from some book or the internet. It's up to you. But the metaphor has been highlighted. The keyword, okay, the keyword has been highlighted. In the book, you will come across this word double allegory. What they are trying to state here is that it is a double metaphor because allegory actually is an extended form of a metaphor. They are not necessarily one and the same thing because metaphor is used to give one one object the qualities of another object, or it is used to explain an unfamiliar object by the qualities and characteristics of a familiar object. Okay, without giving them a comparison, just like in simile. Okay, it is not a simile metaphor. Similarly, allegory is not necessarily a metaphor, although people might say that it is an extended form of a metaphor. What allegory actually gives you is a complete narrative or a story. It has similarities with the metaphor, therefore people frequently mistake it for the other, but as both of them are actually literary devices and that make use of rhetoric, but in generally and more accurately, it is a bit different because metaphor deals with only a singular idea or a symbol, and it is like a simple sentence or a single phrase. But for an allegory, it will tell you a complete story and it will make use of different symbols, just like you will see in the example in the next slide. Before you start paying attention to the red part, the red part is just as an indication that it is a simile or can be used as a simile. The actual part you need to be paying attention to is the underlined part because that represents the metaphor or the allegory. So the meaning here is a string of yellow camels marching swiftly, but the underlying inherent meaning is your fine yellow camels in which you took such pride in the word are but sparks that fly away and even sting you in the hereafter. Okay, like you're proud of them, you're hoarding them like you're hoarding money, but in the hereafter, on the judgment day, you will be asked regarding your money and your possessions, and then it might sting you if you have not used them properly. Okay, and the color and rapid succession of sparks, these are two things which have been contrasted. Mm, and they have been also compared to the vanity of the world and the pride you take in these vanities. Okay, so a lot of metaphor is there. That's why it has been referred to as an extended metaphor or an allegory. I hope you understand. So I understand that synecdoche might be a new term for all of us. That's why the definition and some key points have been provided in the next slide. So just like the simile, metaphor, and allegory before, synecdoche is also a literary device and it is used to represent the whole by a part or the part by a whole. That means larger groups or larger thing may be used to refer to smaller groups or smaller things and vice versa. This is better explained in the example below. So in this example, you can see that they are envying mankind for what wealth God has given them. But that is not actually true. All of the mankind has not been given with wealth. Okay, some of the mankind has been given with wealth, and some of them, very few, are very very rich. So they are here in this ayah. Anas or mankind has been used to refer to part of the mankind or those wealthy people which we can count or which are like 5% or something like that, but the whole of mankind is very large. Okay, so whole of mankind has been used to refer to part of mankind. Okay, like all people have been used to refer to those few wealthy people. So senectosh has been used here. The next slide is rather simple, so I am leaving it as a test. You can try to understand it yourself and take help from the internet or some book. So this brings us to the end of the presentation. I hope everyone got everything and no ambiguity is left. Good luck.